Hey everybody, Kenny here. So in this Path of Exile build video, I'll be doing things quite a bit differently than I did in my Trickster build video. Since this is a very special build that I want to show in action for a while before I get into what makes it so interesting. So I'm just going to be running around killing things for quite some time while giving some background. And then once I feel you have a good grasp of what went into creating this character, then I'll show what's actually going on here. So I made this character during the Scourge League. And at the time, this wasn't actually the character that I started the league with. This was actually a character that I created after I had been playing for a while and realized that the gear you get, well, it's a gear that you could create from scourging items with the league mechanic from the Scourge League, allowed for something that I have always wanted to do in Path of Exile, but couldn't figure out how to do in a way that felt meaningful during the early game. And that was creating a duelist that could be a spellcaster. Now, obviously, you could turn any character into anything in this game. You know, like where they start on the passive grid is just a suggestion of things that they could do, but you aren't bound to anything. You could do anything you could think of for your build in this game. But it's if you want to start as a spellcaster and be a duelist, that is something that is very difficult to accomplish from the early game. Because unlike the other characters, there aren't any spells that are provided to the duelist during the early chapters, during the early acts. You know, like you could find some, but if you don't find any, then there's really nothing you can do. Like that limitation is, that limitation will guide your entire playthrough, pretty much. Because there's just nothing you can do about the fact that this is a character that doesn't get offered any spellcasting jewels until the library in Act 3. Which is when all of the skill gems from the first 3 acts become available to every character by using the library vendor. But my first character during the Scourge League was a Templar. And, Templars have access to all of this, to all of the spell gems. Well, a good amount of the spell gems. So I was able to pass along... Oops. Watch out for those. Oops. Didn't want to do that. You gotta want to watch out for those, those arch nemesis mobs. Anyways, so as a Scourge League character, my Templar happened to make quite a few items that would allow a non-caster character to be a very effective caster, which is basically what gave me the whole idea to make a caster duelist. And so with that character, I decided to basically stop their league progress very early and just use them as a basically as a gem vendor for my duelist character that I wanted to play as a caster. And it worked quite well at the very beginning because, you know, like I said, like the modifiers to spell damage that you could get were amazing. Like, you know, they like these like the Scourge League mods were something that you don't see in the normal pool, especially during early game. So being able to play a duelist that had a considerable amount of spell damage without having any investment in spell damage allowed me to play as a very effective spellcaster for quite a while. And that was the case until around Act 3. And then things started to taper off quite a bit. And at the time, you know, my idea was, okay, I guess so, like the way I'm going to make this character viable is by making them kind of a hybrid caster and a melee unit. So I'll do full area, fire, physical, ice, and lightning all the time by... Die. Didn't die. Amazing. You can do full fire, ice, and lightning at all times using righteous fire and other things. And I came up with what I thought was going to be a really good righteous fire early game build. And I was wrong. That like it did not work at all. So during that league, all I did with this character was I got them far enough into Act 3 to be able to unlock their ascendancy, and then I just stopped playing them. So why am I going into this history on this character? All that time that I spent doing that, I felt, you know, it was a fun experience, but it wasn't a build that I could really recommend to people to ever try out. But while I was figuring out some stuff for some other build videos that I'm planning, I moved over to this character because they happened to be wearing equipment that I felt would allow me to try out the different things that I wanted to try out for these other build videos that I was thinking about. And while I was doing my research pretty much, I discovered an interaction with this character that I didn't recognize when I originally got them their ascendancy. And so now that you've seen me play this character for a while and seen that it's actually pretty effective, I want to show you that this character actually doesn't have a build. That's a nonsense statement, right? I mean, I'm obviously doing stuff. This character has to have a build. You see, during Scourge League, you're able to get like really big modifiers that you normally wouldn't get early game. So this character is wearing level 11 item, level 10 item, a level 4 item, level 5 item, a level 11 item, a level 19 item, and a level 31 item. So the helmet is the only thing that I got pretty deep in. And then the weapon and this ring are uniques, and so I'm not really counting them as part of that because I put these on after the fact. The weapon is actually an incredible weapon. If you ever happen to find this, this is a level 28 weapon. I mean, it says item level 41, but the base level for this, if I take everything off, level 28 base. So if you happen to get this at the level that it becomes available, that is... Honestly, like, this weapon will carry you to endgame easily. I mean, the physical damage, elemental damage on this weapon are on par with a level 50 plus weapon, a two-handed weapon. Like, it's incredible stats for a level 28 item. But like in terms of actual gear, like these, like I have 18 evasion on this. Like the only real benefit of wearing this is, I guess, that I get some dexterity on it, and I get some life on kill. I guess that's really all this is really doing for me. This belt, I'm getting some reduced flash charges used, and I get a good amount of regeneration and the flat life. This is giving me some nice really nice flat life on this, and some movement speed. But you're seeing that the negatives on this are really bad negatives. It's actually so, like, let me take off this ring so I can show that resistance-wise, we're looking at 9, 1, and 9 in Act 5. The ring, this is one of my favorite rings in the game. If you happen to find one, to me, this is one of the best items in the game, because while you're still trying to figure out your gear for your character to get all your resistances taken care of, if you know that a certain boss or a certain rare enemy that has an arch nemesis mod that makes it that they do a lot of a certain type of elemental damage is giving you some, it might give you some trouble, then with this ring you can just go, okay, they're doing fire damage, so I have this random red gem in my bag, and I'm just going to stick it on there, and now I have a bunch of fire resistance, you know. Or put this blue gem on there, now I have a bunch of lightning resistance. Or I put this green gem on there, now I have a bunch of cold resistance. Although, I mean, like, the cold resistance doesn't get capped because this, well, no, I'm not this one. At this one, nope, wasn't that one either. Yes, this one. So minus 19% cold resistance on that. And I think another one of these gives minus cold resistance. Oh, there was more than one of these. Well, I guess. So that minus 19 on cold resistance there. Oh, that is odd, though. Although I guess it's because of the overall minus 20% on this stacks with the percent there. That's why it's 62. So, yeah, so I just want to confirm that. Yep. Yeah, so it's because of that minus 19 there stacks with that this minus 20 on that stacks with the minus 19 on that. So bad all around. And then I have the reduced global resistances On this one, yeah, I guess just that one. I reduced global resistances, meaning that, what little bit of evasion I was getting from these things was even evasion armor I was getting was even less. So this is a character that has not been wearing good gear. Why is it that I'm telling you this? Why is it that this is a build video about this character when I've basically just been crapping on this character's capabilities this whole time, right? Well, despite having nonsense gear, despite seeing that I have 11 unspent passive points, despite seeing that in my passive tree, if I zoom out all the way, you can see that I haven't actually invested in anything. I went across here, which got me a little bit of of extra life, some extra evasion and armor, some regen, a little bit of melee damage. I went through here, which got me some spell suppression and some evasion. Went up this way, which got me some attack speed, cast speed, and movement speed. And then I went all the way up here to get these life recoup nodes. And the reason for that was I wasn't sure if life recoup worked with Righteous Fire. And it doesn't. I mean, it kind of does. Like, that's why it, like, my health recovers so fast at, once the... I mean, I'll explain what that was. It just happened, but... Like, when did I put on Purity of Ice? Oh, I see. When I was showing that. So everything you've been seeing is the result solely of this being a champion. Because as a champion, this character gets adrenaline whenever they get on low health. And adrenaline is stupid. We'll see that I'm doing 502 damage. Now for a level 46 character in Act 5, 502 damage isn't great. That's not a good number to see. But Righteous Fire, Charged Adrenaline, that does 1,000 damage now. And didn't have all of our heralds on, so now it does over 1,000 damage. And we're using Battle Mage's Cry so that we're able to cast Ice Nova and Shock Nova. And we have those supported by Ice Bite, giving them extra freeze chance. So when we run into enemies, we're doing some really nice stuff here. Just really nice damage without actually being spec'd into any kind of damage. Now, I am not recommending that you do it this way to be able to use Righteous Fire as an activator so that you can just hop back to almost full whenever you want to get adrenaline. You can do it that way. It's it's something I've been doing for a long time now with this character since I figured out that interaction, and it worked. I mean, I got all the way through the rest of Act 3, through all of Act 4, and I've made it this far through Act 5, all with a character that is essentially wearing nothing but this. This weapon, this unique weapon, this really good unique weapon, but this unique weapon, which basically puts them on par with probably an Act 3 character, damage-wise, like a character who actually has invested in some damage. So now that we've seen the character in action, and we've seen what I invested in on the tree, and we've seen the gems that I used just to show how effective using just having that ascendancy is. Now we're going to see an actual build. We're going to go back here. Stash. Take a look at... Where did I put it? I have a lot of gear. This, yep, here we go. So, I have prepared an entire set here to be my what this character is actually going to be using. I wanted them to be to continue wearing what they had for essentially. Oh yeah, and this was what they were wearing before I put this on. Obviously, I put this on just so I could. Yeah, I didn't have to worry about the resistances on this character. Now we're going to swap everything out. Or here. Full on swap. That wise, it's not a huge difference, but you know, like we're not going to have the big negatives of having Scourge gear on.
There'll be time for that soon enough.
Here. Okay. Now, when we take a look, defensively, we're actually looking pretty nice. Which by Act 5, hopefully you're actually wearing proper gear and you don't do like me where I I let myself suffer just so I can figure things out. And now we're going to spend these points on the stuff that I think would be good to focus on while leveling a character like this. So the main one is we're going to get some more life. And we're going to invest in all of our life masteries. So get life regen while moving. Get some flat life. And most importantly, we're going to make vitality free. And with each remaining points, make it that our war cries exert an additional attack. And we're that up there. And we're going to make it that we get 20% increased damage each time we've war cried recently. Reason for that is that on the gear that I just put on, I had a bunch more war cries included. So that now head out to area. Now we're at 614 base damage. Then 700, 786, 70. So, going to have to oh, so this scroll I doesn't. Yes, I'm not sure what exerts ancestral cry, so I'm not going to use that anymore. So, that is what we're going to be looking at for a while these are going. So, we're obviously looking at much higher damage now than what we were getting before. And let's see what an actual build with this setup looks like. Right.
You die rather well.
Yes, they do. Yeah. So now this character just deletes. Just absolute deletes. Yeah. Just outrageous. Actually, something that I didn't think to do. Oh, and in case you've never used Earth Shatter before, like my reason for choosing that is because when you use any war cry, but particularly since I'm using Battle Mage's Cry, war cries cause these little spires to explode. So it's additional damage, which is why I use Earth Shatter instead of something else. One of these times, I should probably remember to turn on adrenaline. Oh, also, actually, something I also didn't explain about. So, because I was trying to see how viable this really was before doing anything to improve this build in any way, none of these gems are actually leveled past the level this character was at when I got them their ascendancy. So, this is still sitting at level 6. That's still sitting at level 3. So, like, everything is sitting at around... Yeah, like, I think the highest required level on any of these is that golem. Where's that golem at? Red. I know that. There we go. Yeah, 38. Because I got this during Act 4. So, take that for what you will. Yeah, so none of this has actually been with ranked up with act appropriate gems. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely, this is definitely not a righteous fire build. I had to know. Yeah, so just absolutely devastatingly effective. If you were to try this out, then the, I guess, leveling procedure I would use, getting up to...
I can't do this just yet.
Getting up to mid Act 3 to get access to spells and the Battle Mage's War Cry. And I guess the Golem is useful to have. It does give extra life regen. $42 life regen. Not amazing, but you know, not bad. Yeah, so what I would recommend is probably leveling up with... oh, I'm forgetting the name. Ice Dagger? That what it's called in... I know that's what it's called in D&D, but... is that what it's called in Path of Exile? Oh, you're still alive. Crossblades! There we go.
While we live, we are blessed.
Yeah, so I would recommend leveling Frostblades just because that's an incredibly effective early game gem. Also, all of the steel stuff is really cool. So splitting steel, lancing steel, not available at this level. Might not be available till later. Steel. Steel. Shattering steel. All right. Yeah, so splitting steel, shattering steel, then you get, I think, lancing steel becomes available Act 3. That's basically the like the combo ender for the Steel series. Oh, Scourge Arrow. Dancing Steel. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, so that would be like the... Like you do... Like the first two are like setup, and then like you do your like final thing with this. It's a really cool little series of skills if you want to use that. I highly recommend Ice Bite. Ice Bite, like if I do a build that that is meant to use attack skills, I almost always put Ice Bite in there, you know, in my gem selection, just because it's incredibly good. You know, chance to freeze adds the cold damage along with the chance to freeze, gives you a frenzy charge if it kills a frozen enemy. You know,
Be
it's
careful.
incredibly good. Yeah, so this is a... Oh, I have no texture right now. That's funny. Yeah, no texture. That is funny. I should probably give this guy something. So I bothered to make a build, a video about him. Might as well give him something. He'll be a Lightbringer. That. I guess. I mean, his character is all about chaos. That's why his name is indecipherable. Kind of chaotic looking. But yeah, so as a duelist, obviously, you have you have your choice of what directions you want to go. If you want to go for these life recoup up here to also get you access to more elemental options, or maybe even the option to go full wand. You have like this path gets you the best results on that, but you also like going this way gets you access to energy shield, evasion, energy shield, and life, like status protections, spell suppression, more energy shield and life. Plenty of damage all around. Any way you want to go with it. Wanted to head down this. If you wanted to early game get more out of going for a caster type build, then you could head out this way to get these code nodes from the ranger and these status ailment. I mean, not status, the elemental ailment nodes from this side here, as well as maybe pick up elemental equilibrium. If that's something you're interested in doing. And of course, the pain attunements right there. If you wanted to do like a, what's it called? Here we go, Petrified Blood. This basically makes it that you're always at low life. So if you wanted to do a low life build. But if you were going to do a low life build, then I definitely don't recommend, if you're a champion, going for adrenaline. Because adrenaline only triggers when you get to low life, meaning that you had to have been above low life or to get that bonus to begin with. Definitely don't do this if you're planning on going in attunement. And yeah, a very cool build. Lots of semi build. It's a build that is brought forth by the gems more so than by the passive build. Well, by the gems and the ascendancy, obviously. And also, so my path for improving from here, this character would be head down the fortify route. So it can't be still fortified, extra armor evasion while fortified, extra attack speed while fortified, guaranteed 20 fortification, which means that we can go and do things like 40% increase damage with attack skills while you have 20 fortification. Reduce damage over time taken while you have at least 20 fortification, which this would actually enable. Actually, because of the positioning here, if you were to get both this, the reduced damage over time taken while you have 20 fortification, and you were to make it to this spot here, and from this spot here, you could go and get to this little thing of damage over time. Although I guess this is right here. I know that's one more than 1, 2. Yeah. Is there anything closer? To, yeah. So from, like, if you were to go up this route, then the fastest one would be this grouping here, because the goal is to get the damage over time mastery, that you take 10% less damage, damage from damage over time. So, you know, so that 20%, that makes a huge difference. I remember thinking that 10% wouldn't be that big of a deal, and then like on a character that wasn't set up for Righteous Fire, and I put that on, and it was like night and day. Like it's a massive difference if you were to get that node. Surprisingly, Lathe Shade doesn't. I mean, like maybe I don't know. I haven't used this since they first added it. Maybe it does work for. Like maybe this does work for Righteous Fire now. I know it didn't when they first added it. I tried to do a build around that, and it didn't work back then. But yeah, so I can't recommend trying this at the moment, but who knows? Like maybe they've changed something and it can be used for Righteous Fire now. Yeah. So this is the build. Lots of damage by hurting yourself. Anyways. Thanks for sticking with me. This has been my random chaos build, I guess. Best I can come up with for what to call this. You have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.